Hey guys, it's episode 17 of the Double Cross Anime Podcast. I'm Whooper, and I'm joined by Mario.
Hello.
Alright, so on the docket for today, essentially did not get out the finale of Hisone Tomasa-tan, and we have already finished Hinamatsuri. That leaves just the last episode of Megalo Box and episode 11 of Piano no Mori to cover from the shows we were talking about during the spring. Before that, we are going to cover the first 5 episodes of Nadia's Secret of Blue Water, which we revealed is replacing Rose of Versailles last week. And we're going to finish off this episode by selecting our 10 summer premieres that we're going to try over the next couple weeks before we narrow it down to just a handful of series that we'll start covering mid to end of July. So does starting with Nadia sound good, Mario?
Yep, that sounds good.
All right, let's do it. Thoughts?
All right.
General thoughts?
That's what amazing, man.
It was amazing.
Nadia. Yep. I like the whole 5 episodes. I like the whole batch. I like basically the 5 of them. I think the first one was the one that I like the most.
Okay.
But generally, I like what I've seen so far. How about you?
I feel the same way. I don't know that I would say it was amazing.
All right.
I wouldn't go that far. I remember that when we watched the first 5 episodes of Versailles, I had a very strong positive reaction to the first episode. I don't think that any of these 5 left as big a mark on me as that one. But I do. The main thing I love about it is its sense of adventure, and that it never has 2 feet in one place at the same time. The kids are always moving. They're always encountering some new obstacle, some new kind of trouble. The plot is constantly changing. New characters are like rotating in and out, and it just feels very very fun.
Yep.
So those are my general impressions, I guess. So you really like the first episode, huh?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like it's like one of the few series that for the first 5 episodes we got like the 5 whole new settings. So the first episode that's set in Paris.
Yep.
Again Paris. That we just have like 40 episodes of Rose of Versailles, which feature Paris at that time as well.
Right. Well, this is set. When is this? 1889 is when this is set.
Yeah. I think it's just after the revolutions. I think.
No, it's 100 years after.
Oh, it's 100 years after. Oh,
Yes.
right.
Yeah, it's the 18th century that Rose of Versailles is set in. This is the 19th century, at the near the end of it.
And that's on the second episode. The setting is in Le Havre, which is the place where Jean Tron, what his name? We will say it Jean.
I think it's John.
It's John. All right.
Yeah, same as the character from Rose of Versailles. It's kind of spelled Jean, but you say it's Jean.
Yep. So the second episode was in his hometown.
Right.
And we see like his house, on the invention and stuff.
His racist aunt.
Yep.
Yep.
And the third episode, we head ourselves into the American partnership.
Yep.
Which is the name is Abraham.
Yeah, that's right.
And then in the fourth episodes, we go into the submarine.
The Nautilus.
Nautilus. And the 5th one, we go to the island. And that's just amazing. That's just like it's a true stand-up adventure for me.
Right. It does feel like a concentrated effort to have every episode in a new place, as opposed to it happening like naturally. I kind of feel as though the characters are being pushed along by the script. Like, okay, we gotta get to the new place. Hurry up, let's get to a new setting. But I even though it doesn't feel like the most natural thing in the world, I still appreciate it. And it does look like episode 6 is going to still be on the island. I don't imagine they're going to take that young girl and be like, all right, let's cross the ocean.
Yep. And all right, the moments that I like the most in the whole 5 batch, in the first one, in when the kids meet for the first time in some towers.
Right?
Yeah, and then the gang, the Grandy gangs, come to basically steal the blue pendant
Yes, the blue
of
water.
Nadia, the blue water, and that's when Nadia do some sort of jumping around
Yeah, acrobatics.
acrobatically, and that was really amazing. Like the animations,
Yeah.
it just wowed me.
Yeah, there's a lot of energy and like bounce and spring to the characters, which is I think typical of Gainax. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, it being a Gainax series, along with the animation that'll make your eyes pop out. There's also the scenes where like there's coloring outside the lines and people's mouths aren't moving. There's a little bit of that too, so it's a
Mm-hmm.
mixed bag. But
Yep,
if you do appreciate that fluid, you know, animation
and
that it like approaches that Sakuga level, then there's something in every episode to marvel at.
that's right. And I noticed a lot of actions, a lot of movement in those as well.
Yeah.
Like I remember in one of these sequence where Nadia and John they falling out, and we got the shot of like John looking at Nadia bump, and his face is like brightened. He just got like so excited to look at that. It's like a very low prow one,
Are you
but
talking about the circus where she comes out and does her performance and he has that like love struck expression on his face? Or are you
no, I refer to all the scenes. I think it's on a later episodes. I don't remember which one
the
though.
the only time I can remember his face getting really red and him blushing is when Electra on the Nautilus puts her hands on his shoulders. Then his face gets
Oh,
really red.
no, it's yep. I remember that one, but it's not that one as well. I think that's on the second episodes. I think.
That would be number 4 because that's when they're on the submarine. That's when they're on the
Yep.
Nautilus.
hmm
Um,
But just to tell you that how there's a lot of movement in the series.
yeah. Yes,
It's just
definitely.
dynamic.
Like the characters, you can tell exactly how they're what they're thinking and how they're feeling based on
hmm
the way their faces appear and the way that their expressions move from one kind of arrangement of facial features to another.
hmm
That's something that I typically look for from Kyoto Animation
hmm
in like modern anime.
Yep.
But this, you can obviously they had to get it from somewhere. Everybody who's working for KyoAni now, they grew up watching anime, and
hmm
I have to imagine that series like this that can do what this one does with with its characters' faces and with their emotions, personalities. They must have come up on stuff like that.
hmm One thing I do notice though about the productions is like in some of the scenes when we cut into another scene we see like Nadia color skin color getting darker. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, but that's just when it's dark out or she's in shadow or something. Like, are you talking about
All
when it gets
right.
really dark? Like, for example, in
Yep.
episode
Yep.
4, when it's
When they are in the room.
yeah, when they're in the room where they're staying on the Nautilus, and they're having
Yep.
that conversation about like whether they should trust people or be distrustful, like what's safer and what's more appropriate when you're meeting someone new.
That's right. Yep.
It's like
And
really dark, and Nadia's skin's so much darker. Yeah, they. I mean, maybe they pushed it a little too far when they decided how dark her skin ought to be during nighttime scenes or in darkened rooms. But I don't think it's like random.
mhm. All right. How do you think about the characters so far?
Sorry, I was taking a sip. Um,
Yep.
the characters, I think that the Team Rocket. Do you know who
Yep.
I'm talking about when I say Team Rocket? Like the goons, the
Yep.
bad
Yep. Yep.
guys. I think they are. I hated them at first, like for one episode.
Yep.
I mean, I liked their mech, their robot, and how they were chasing after Nadia and stuff. But I thought they
Yep.
were annoying. But I've already warmed up to them.
Yep.
I like that their names are Hanson and Samson,
Yep.
and one of them is like he calls himself a dandy and he's obsessed with his looks, and then the woman is. We learn in episode 5 that the woman is actually more concerned with Nadia's safety than retrieving the
Yeah,
blue
that's right.
water. And she
Hmm.
says when they're being interrogated by those guys with like the Ku Klux Klan hoods, the triangle hoods
Yep.
on the island, she
Hmm.
says, "Oh, I learned about the blue water by seeing it on a poster." But I don't think that's true. I think they probably know more than they let on, especially the girl being the ringleader of those three quote unquote villains. So I think they might be
Hmm.
more significant than just being like Team Rocket people.
Well, I do think that every characters that we see so far know more than they let themselves to, especially the gang inside the Nautilus,
Yes.
where they know the identity of Nadia.
Yeah, Electra
Uh,
calls her a princess.
yep, yeah, that's right. And I think we eventually get back to them later. But I how do you like the gang, the Nautilus
I think they're
gang?
great. I like
And
Electra. I like that she's on the bridge, you know, like in the main control room with the captain, and is integral in piloting the ship. But at the same time, she's also she's compassionate. She's not just like all about her work. She also wants to save the kids, and she just seems to have like an air of goodness about her
yep,
that I really
and
like. I like Nemo too, the captain.
yep, and just so you know that just so the audience know that Captain Nemo and Nautilus, I don't know for Electra those, are the characters from 20,000 Leagues Under the Seas.
Yes, yeah, the Jules Verne story that this was partially based on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do,
Also,
do you have any idea that Electra is from them as well? Or are they like the original characters?
I don't know. Let's Google. I'm gonna type in Electra 20,000 leagues. 20,000 leagues under the sea. No results for Electra on the Wikipedia page. No,
All right.
it must just be a cool name because it is
Yep.
cool.
Yep. It's cool.
I actually have a theory about Captain Nemo.
Yep. Tell me about it.
I think that he's either Nadia's dad or Jean's dad.
All right.
Nadia kind of like looks, but he has his back turned to her when they're
Yep.
leaving, and Nadia kind of looks up at him with a questioning look on her face.
Yep. Hmm.
So my first theory was that maybe he's Nadia's dad, but then I remember that John's dad also like disappeared at sea,
Hmm.
um, probably because of everybody assumes they're sea monsters, but there's actually um, there's some kind of war going on. And it's
Yep.
not even a war between nations because everyone on board the Nautilus has like disavowed their nationality and they don't belong to any country. So there's some kind of conflict going on at sea, and maybe his dad got embroiled in it, and that's him. I think he's one of
Yep.
their parents though.
All right. Hmm. And do you know that who's the Nautilus fighting against? Because I have absolutely no idea.
Well, we know that the guys with the hoods on the island are
Yep.
somehow related to um, the people that the Nautilus is fighting. Because
How?
their leader makes some sort of comment in his little hideout to one of his
Yep.
henchmen
Uh-huh.
about he makes a comment about the Nautilus and how they're fighting against it. So
Mm.
he's allied with whoever's in the submarine. In episode 4, there was that really tense scene where they cut off all the
Yep.
lights and the engine and stuff, and the submarine goes overhead and drops the mines and shoots the torpedoes.
That was really good sequence.
Yeah, I liked it.
It. Yeah, I liked it too.
I definitely felt nervous as I was
Yeah,
watching.
I felt tense. Yes.
Yeah, it's this show is doing what it needs to do. It's pulling everything off for the most part.
Yep. All right. For myself, I like the main character so far. I like Jean. I like the chemistry between John and Nadia. However, I think Nadia become a bit too passive for the last few episodes. I think she's gonna be more interesting though, as the story goes on. I particularly don't like Mary at the moment. I I think she's too loud.
Oh, my heart goes
But
out to her, man.
yeah, but for any 4 years old girl who just have their parent like died,
Yes.
I can agree with her. I hope that she don't be that annoyed later on.
I have a feeling that she will continue to be like kind of screechy and annoying.
Uh,
And it'll be like because she's one of the three main characters in like the opening and the ending
yeah.
songs, you know. So she's probably going to stay with them for a long time, and she will function sort of as their child. And they'll be quote unquote raising
Uh,
her.
the child.
Kind,
Yeah,
I mean, kind of,
how
yeah.
how old are John and Nadia anyway?
I don't know. I feel like they're probably young
10,
teenage.
12?
I feel like they're probably young teenagers. Yeah, maybe 12, maybe as old as 14 even.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say yeah, 12.
Yep.
And Mary, you know, I feel so sorry for her. I mean, as I was watching the episode, I know that it's super like sentimental and cloying, and there's a plot line where a girl has her parents ripped from her by a bunch of guys wearing hoods.
Uh-huh.
um, but all the same, man, I was tearing up in episode 5 when she was like Nadia
She
tries to
realized that they
explain.
did.
Yeah,
Yep.
Nadia tries to explain that her parents and her dog have gone to heaven in the sky, and then Mary, of course, she says, "I want to go too. I want to be where
Mm-hmm.
my mom is, where my dad is, and where my dog is. I want to be there. I don't want to stay here." But that's the great thing about that scene is that John and Nadia have also lost their parents.
Right.
So
Right.
so as Mary is like wailing and is crying inconsolably, like it's just as hard for those two because
Mm-hmm.
however they felt when they were younger, when their parents were taken from them, that dredges those feelings back up.
Mm-hmm.
So like all three of them are suffering at the end of episode 5, and that's exactly where we left off.
Yep. All
Um,
right.
but so there'll be a bond. There'll be some sort of connection that the three kids form. Hopefully, it'll be more than just, oh, we're in a new place every week and we're running away from bad guys.
Yeah. Well, if the show gonna be like that for 30 more episodes, I willing to watch it.
Yeah,
Yep.
I want
Just go
more.
into different just go into different places and like explore adventures, and then there's like a big plot going underneath, so I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, I agree.
I
I'm not worried either, but I am looking for more,
I'm I'm
which the show
I'm
has
just
already hinted at.
yep, I'm just a bit worried that the main plot gonna be straight to teen. That's what I'm afraid of. That they don't have enough thing to say about the big plot.
Um,
But but
I'm
but
not.
otherwise,
I'm not worried about that. I don't think. I mean, we know that we don't know. First of all, we don't know where Nadia's from or like who her parents are. So that's one huge. That's two
well,
huge mysteries.
yeah.
We don't
Well,
know
we
what the
do
blue.
have
We don't know what the blue water is. We don't know what the
that's really
conflict is
right.
between the Nautilus and the other submarine and whatever parties they represent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess those are the main ones at this point. But that's a lot of material.
Yep. Well, we do have a good sense of idea of who Nadia is. That's a princess of some sort.
Yep.
So yes, they do hinting along the way.
Yeah. But she's more than like we've mentioned that she's acrobatic. She had that little stint in the circus. She
Oh,
was sold into like essentially slavery,
yep.
um, and forced to work in the circus. And we know that she's a princess. We know that she's a vegetarian and a pacifist. So she hates being on the
She act.
battleship. What's
Yep.
up?
She actually have another ability though. Remember
Another
that?
ability. What's that?
Yep. That she can understand the animals what they're saying.
Do you think she meant that literally?
Yeah, I think she meant that literally. She can actually talk. She can actually understand what King, the little lion, says. and at some point she say that she can hear the whale, or is that some kind of other animals?
She just mentions that she can understand king and a lot of other animals, but she says specifically that she can't understand the sea monster, and that's because it's not, it's not a sea monster; it's a submarine.
Yep. Hmm.
Um,
So yes, I think she do mean that. I think she do have that ability.
huh.
That just yeah.
I kind of thought that she just meant she was like in tune with animals, perhaps because she really is from Africa. Maybe she grew up
But
among animals, like
I
all over.
I do think those that her origin is more from the seas. So that's why she can understand the animals. She like the princess of all the animals. That's what I'm thinking right now. That's what I'm leading to right now.
Okay, I see that. I understand what you mean. I can get behind that, except for what do you mean like she's the princess of the sea?
So that's the blue pigeons is the blue pendants is the blue water basically. So I think that's just some sort of signal that she's the yep, she's just the princess of the seas.
Okay.
She come from the seas. It's maybe
Maybe she could be the princess of the sea if she's Nemo's daughter, and he like
ye-
has disavowed all
uh,
ties to land-based countries. Maybe she was born
I,
on that submarine or something.
I do think more on the line of the Atlantic City,
Oh,
the
Atlantis.
lost
Yes.
yes the lost city in the seas, and she's like the princess of that land.
Could be.
I'm thinking more of that line.
Could be. Um, the one thing I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about, like the main thing that I liked about Nadia was how realistically sad she was. She spends
Yep.
a lot of time in these opening episodes. Maybe not as much in episode 5 because that's so hectic and they're moving around the island so much. She doesn't have time to be like sad or introspective. But
Hmm.
it's like in episode 1, it's especially noticeable how downcast she is and how
That's right.
quiet, reserved, and like unwilling to engage with people she is because she's depressed.
Yep.
Like she's actually depressed. She says that thing to the ringmaster about I don't want to go on today. I don't feel like I can go on.
Hmm.
That just when I heard that like that specific phrasing, I thought she could be diagnosed with depression.
Yep.
Um,
Well, that's what I do mean by she being passive. But yes,
well,
that for the reason. Yes.
people who are depressed, it's like it's a chemical thing. They don't even have in some cases they don't even have like the ability to be active.
Hmm.
They just can't function sometimes.
Yep.
I feel like she probably suffers from that at least on some level. And
That.
but I also I think that she like her character is painted in such a way that it feels real because she's still able to hold conversations and get excited in some situations and be
I,
and laugh and smile and be happy, but she also has moments where she really is just like kind of in her own head. And
yep.
I like to see that.
And I like to see her character as well when she actually have a disrupt to people.
Yes.
Yeah, she was like hesitate to get into conversation with John in the beginning, but then when she opened up, when she feel that someone she could trust, she actually like like she she engaged in the conversation. She laughed, as you say. So she did say she did talk to John. She did talk to Mary, and she did actually give her gratitude to Electra
Yeah.
after all the thing they done for her and John. So actually, she just been cautious to to the to the human, to the people,
Yeah.
and
She's
she let show with the animals and with someone who she know that kind to her.
right. Right. So yeah, she was probably my guess is like she doesn't remember where she's from or who her parents are or any of that. My guess is that when she was like a very young child, she was probably mistreated or
Hmm.
like she started to form a connection with her parents or whoever was raising her, and then she was abandoned. So
Yep.
she isn't able to make those connections like a quote unquote normal person could.
Yep.
And I assume that one of the big parts of the show is going to be us learning about who Nadia really is. They've already
Yep.
teased the princess thing. We already know the blue water is somehow supernatural or significant. So as we learn more, I'm sure we'll get to the root of her, her sadness and her distrust.
And
And I look forward to that.
yeah, and I actually think that the show, now that we talk about that, does a great job of showing Nadia that way, because usually in anime, people usually with the character with broken childhood, they actually just tend to lash out, just tend to be angry, but not the case with Nadia. So
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. And I'm thinking about like Naruto or something,
Yeah.
who had a terrible childhood. He was ostracized by everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that the show handles that is by cutting to like 5 minute long flashbacks with really sad music. And then at the end of that flashback, him being like, "But I don't care about any of that. I'm going to be the greatest ninja in the world, and I'm just going to use all my sadness as motivation to become the best. Now I'm going to use my
Oh,
superpowers and fight a bunch of people." But
wow, this it's
but
become like positive somehow.
yeah, but I mean what I mean in bringing that up, I guess my point is that a lot of anime series handle that sort of I don't know if trauma is the right word. They
Yep.
handle those tragic backstories and childhoods all in the same way. Like the idea is
Right.
it's very sad, and you spend an extended amount of time diving into it, and then the characters just have to like ganbare and do their best, and
Move
then
on.
yeah. But
All
we're
right.
there. It's a little more sophisticated, I think, so far
Mm-hmm.
in
Yep.
Nadia.
Right. All right. So far, I really enjoy the 5 episodes that we see. I think that's the for now it's a kid show. It's just a general kid show.
Well, episode
It's
5 did a lot to change that.
yeah. I think it's my change. It's my change the tone into darker later on. But like as far as kids show with kids and adventures go, it's actually very good.
Yeah, I agree. Although I'd hesitate to say that it's like good for a kid show. I think it's just good straight up.
Yep.
But I do agree that there are a whole bunch of elements of the show that make it palatable for kids. And this is a question I wanted to ask you. The torrent that I downloaded, like the rip of it that I have, is degrained, so there's no film grain. Did you
All
notice when
right.
you were watching whether there was grain in your like? Did you stream it? Did you download it? What'd you do?
Yeah, I downloaded it. I have but I find any I don't find anything like weird with my sub.
Okay. Can you find the file and tell me like what encoding group did it?
Yeah,
I'm
I
curious.
I try to find out later because Rising Sun.
Rising Sun. They did the subs for me. The encoding group was Bonkai 77.
I have no idea where to look at that.
Okay. I just wanted the reason I wanted to ask about it is because
Yep.
because the picture is degrained. All the
Mm-hmm.
colors are extremely bright, and
All right.
that kind of contributes to the feeling of it being a kid show. Is that all the colors like really pop, which I
Mm-hmm.
don't think would be the case if I were reviewing it as I would prefer to with the grain intact.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And of course, all in addition to the colors and the way the show appears, there are also like goofy sound effects like boing,
Yep.
and
Yep.
and then we have the Team Rocket kind of villain. I mean, this show predates the Pokemon anime by like 7 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I'm gonna keep calling them Team Rocket because that's just I was raised on Pokemon.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that makes it kid friendly and attractive to kids. But yeah, episode 5, finding the dead bodies of two parents, like the
Mm-hmm.
mother clutching the daughter who is still alive, and the dead dog in the street, and the Ku Klux Klan like imagery, and
Yep.
the aunt calling Nadia a colored girl and being unwilling
Yep.
to take her in because of that. There's some more, there's some darker stuff
Mm-hmm.
happening under the surface, and I'm pretty sure that's going to spill over into like the main plot.
Mm-hmm. How? All right. I have one last question for you before
Okay,
we move on. How
sure.
do you think about John's creations?
How do I feel about his creations?
Yep.
I think he's like one of the best versions of this archetype that I've seen.
Yep.
This archetype being like a super
The scientist.
genius inventor, scientist guy. Yeah,
Yep.
but the thing about him is he he is not like the kind of nerdy character who's completely obsessed with his inventions
Mm-hmm.
to the exclusion of everything else. He has a very adventurous spirit. He seems to be
Yep.
very kind, although he's a little bit naive as well. Like he's trusting of people who are captains of battleships or submarines just because he's amazed
Yep.
at the technology. But
Mm-hmm.
even so, he's interested in women as well. The bond between him and Nadia is kicked off by him seeing her looking very pretty as she rides by on a bicycle
Yep.
at the in episode one, and so he sees her and probably thinks, "Wow, she's beautiful," and he chases after her. He leaves his uncle to
Yep.
do the flight competition himself, and he leaves and chases Nadia. So
Mm-hmm.
he's a kind person. He he I mean he has other interests. He has a sense of adventure about him. I think he's great.
Yep. Talking about the archetype where there's a geek, a scientist who just to observe to their own creation and stuff. You will see one. You will see many in Paprika.
Oh yeah.
So so prepare for that.
Oh, I'm ready, man. Yes, for anyone listening, the paprika reference. We are the two Satoshi Kon. Oh, am I? Are we supposed to say that yet, or does it matter?
Oh, yeah. Just say it now. Just say it now.
Yeah, we're since there's a gap between the spring and summer seasons. We're gonna watch Perfect Blue and Paprika next week. Mario is
Next
a
week.
Mario is a
Yep.
big Satoshi Kon fan. I have never seen either of those films, so he's gonna be schooling me and the audience when we talk
Oh,
about
all right.
him.
Looking forward for that.
Yeah, oh, I definitely am, Ben.
And to just get back to where we was, I really enjoyed the gag between John and Nadia about how Nadia just got glossed over about, oh my god, you are like genius, and then the thing broke out.
Right.
I just enjoy like every moment of that.
Yeah, that happened three times in the second
Three
episode.
times.
First, it
Yep.
was
Yep.
the his ship, like the breakaway ship that can speed over water really fast. That
Yep.
failed.
Yep. Yep.
Then it was the
Oh,
stairs in his
the stair.
yeah, and the last one was his airplane, his
Yep.
aircraft.
All right.
I've got oh man, I think there's a lot more, probably a lot more that I could talk about. But I don't
We
want
can
we don't want to go on for
oh,
like too long.
we can talk about one more thing
All right.
before we go to the next show.
Is that the limit?
Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna zoom through my notes really fast.
Yep.
This week I did something different. I like put the stuff I really wanted to talk about in bold.
All right.
So I'm flipping through all that.
Mm-hmm.
Blah blah blah. Oh, there were the soundtrack is
All right.
it
Yep.
reminds me very strongly of Ava's soundtrack.
All right.
There's like a mix of orchestral music
Mm-hmm.
and like electric guitar and keyboards. Especially in the like the chase scene in episode, was it episode 2? Was it episode 3? Episode
Mm-hmm.
3. Oh, the music that plays when the the battleship, like the American
Yep.
naval ship, is firing on the submarines that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
everyone thinks are sea monsters. The music that
Yep.
plays during that scene, if you go back and listen to it, it sounds very similar to the music that plays during angel attacks in
Oh.
Evangelion.
Mm.
So I imagine that Anno has a distinctive sound that he really likes. It's kind of a classic sound because a lot of the music reminds me of like Tom and Jerry
Yep.
type music. But then during combat, he really prefers for there to be like strings in the background, and then on top he like smears kind of like wailing electric guitar and synth tones over top of it. I really like that sound that he goes for. I assume that he has like maybe a composer who works with him very closely on all his projects, kind of like Miyazaki always uses Joe Hisashi.
Yep.
Anno probably has a guy as well.
Right.
All right, I guess that'll be the last thing.
All right. How do you think about the OP and EP?
Oh man, I love them. I love them to death.
Yeah, I
They're
love
so
both
catchy.
of them. Yep. Especially the ED.
Yeah, that's great. I love the sepia toned shot of the three characters like running, and their backs are to us. They're running along the hill, and it's so wonderful. I listened to both of them all the way through every episode.
Me too.
They're fun.
All right. So that to wrap it up, the first 5 episode of Nadia was pretty good for me.
Yeah, same here.
It actually set a high bar for me. So I hopefully that the rest of the show can follow up, or even like surpass it.
Well, there is going to be one problem. I think there's a stretch of episodes in Nadia where Anno was not present, like he did not direct them, and according to fans, they're like legendarily bad.
All right, so
people
we have to wait and see.
advise that you're actually. A lot of people think you should actually skip them because they're filler, and like when Anno comes back to begin directing the series again, they're kind of ignored.
All right.
But
we have to see for ourselves then.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I'm willing to watch them.
Yep, I'm willing to watch them though too.
But if like the first couple are really bad, I might like skim through the rest because I'm worried. Like a lot of people really honestly suggest just not watching them at all.
All right, I think it's our job now to see.
Oh, we're not getting paid. Nobody's paying us for this.
All right. Let's just see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, my inclination is to watch them all as well. We'll get there eventually. Not for a few more weeks.
All right. Let's get to another show. Let's get to Piano no Mori, with the sub was just available yesterday for me.
Yeah, me too. I think. So this is episode 11, and it may be the last one that we cover on this podcast.
That's what I think. I think that it's the last one that we're gonna see and we're gonna cover. So basically, the last one that we see Kai playing in the tournaments, which didn't happen at all.
Right, and I actually at the very end when it's after Amamiya and what's his face Lech. They play in this episode. The bulk of the time is spent on those two, and then at the very end, Ajuno like he puts his hand on Kai's shoulder, and it appears to be Kai's turn to play. And when that happened at the end, I thought, oh man, I would really like to see Kai play. I want to see what happens.
Yes. So I don't know if we will cover it next week.
Yeah, maybe.
But I think I'm gonna probably give like the last try next week, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, my plan is to watch the next episode 12, and then just drop it. All I want to do is see how the show handles Kai's performance. Like maybe I want it to dedicate as much as like I don't know 6 or 7 minutes to Kai just playing straight up. If it does that, then I'll be satisfied. Then I won't need to watch the second half. I'm not watching the second half either way.
You know what? I just think that this is just the first round of the Chopin competition, so
right.
I don't think they're gonna play Kai's playing the whole thing, the whole 6-7 minutes. I think we have to wait until the finals if Kai ever get there.
If the show ever gets there.
If the show ever get there, true.
Feels like it's taking forever.
I actually starting to think that the like the first half of the second core will be focused on that Chopin tournament, so it's gonna last very, very long. I actually think that it's gonna last for like 5 or 6 more episodes.
I mean, it's starting to feel that way.
Yeah, because the pacing for this episode is just too slow for me. It just it's basically just Shuhei playing, and that guy, that Papulis, the guy from Poland,
Yes,
playing.
Lech.
That's it. Oh, and he met Kai like in the park, in which he say that his park, that's his like
He
that's his
says,
old piano forest,
yeah,
so
he
to
says
speak.
he's the master of that forest or that park.
Yeah.
And then
So
when he said that the birds came down and sat on his head and his arm and stuff,
yeah,
like he was what cartoon character, what
magical.
Disney character is that? Is it Snow White who all the birds land on, or
Yes, Snow White.
is it
Where was
okay?
he sing? And Cinderella. Like
Cinderella.
whenever she sing, like the birds just come around and listen to what she sings.
Right.
That's that's basically like Disney princess material we got there.
Right. Well, he's kind of like a Disney princess. He's got the poofy blonde hair and the overbearing parents. He's got it all.
Yep. Yep.
All right. So this, yeah, it was
And
kind of a two-part episode with Amamiya and Lech. So, do you have
yeah,
any thoughts about the episode, like as a whole, or either
all right,
part?
all right. As a whole, it's too slow. It I starting to see the show approach to the players playing, which I'm not actually very keen of. So they just start on the very first note of on those players playing. They playing like three pieces. They start with like the very first few notes of those pieces, and then move on to the conclusions. And I don't see the reason why. I don't see the reason why they have to include like, oh, so this guy playing that note, that piece and other piece for us to see, because that's not that important for me.
You're talking about the subs, the little
No,
signs indicating which
so
piece they're playing.
yeah, I'm talking about that. I'm talking about the presentation as well. So whenever one player come into play in the tournaments, they play one piece. The show will show us like the first few note of that piece, and then they move on.
Oh yeah, I've been complaining about that for weeks.
Yeah, yeah. So now I see that. Now I see that like very apparently
Yeah, it's
this week.
annoying.
It's annoying.
I actually thought that this week it was a little better than in past weeks. Like especially for Amamiya's portion, we got a
Yeah.
good it like when he was playing that one piece where his fingers were moving all up and down the keys. I'm not a classical music guy. I know that the names of the pieces flash in the corner of the screen, but I don't remember them. But when he was
All
playing the
right.
one that was supposed to be like impossible, and everyone in the audience was like some of the people in the audience were starting to cry because it was so
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. When he was
They
doing
just
all
want to know.
that, there was actually a very long, like uninterrupted musical passage, as he
Yep.
was like
Yep.
hitting every single note and nailing it and establishing himself as like the front runner. Maybe after what's the guy's name? Uh,
Uh,
Pang Wei,
yep. Yep.
the
Yep.
the Chinese guy, maybe.
The Chinese. Yep.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I appreciated how uninterrupted that section was of Amamiya's performance. But yeah, in general, there were a ton of like stops and starts, as there have
Uh,
been over the last few weeks.
all right. Presentation wise, I really like the way that like the show it how Shuhei just cleaning up the piano parts. That become like obvious afterwards, like after everyone just comment about that.
Yes.
I don't like the way they handle uh that afterwards though.
Yeah, me neither.
It just go all over the place for me. I just don't know what to feel.
Yeah,
I feel bad actually.
I think I think the issue was that Amamiya was so unaware. He
Yep.
was so ignorant of the fact that he had done that motion, and so when multiple people pointed out to him, he
Yep.
freaks out. Like he has a mental breakdown in the bathroom. He
Yeah.
faints and he has like a nightmare of some kind. He's extremely stressed and he seems to be kind of losing his marbles a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, and the I think that's why it didn't really sit well with me. The whole thing
Yeah.
about the cleaning and then the show's obsession with and focus on that afterwards was because it like defined the rest of the episode for Amamiya.
Yep.
And the nightmare thing is I would just like him to be his own character and not be so obsessed with and focused on Kai because he had the nightmare like focuses around, oh, if I just hadn't been Kai's friend, oh, if I just hadn't gone into the piano forest, oh, if I had just stopped him from teaming up with Ajino, then like just shut up, dude. Just like do
Yeah.
your own thing. If the show could get behind him a little more instead of making him the rival character and not much else, I would really appreciate it. But it might be too late for that.
Yeah. You know what? On when he playing, when Shuhei is playing, there literally uh uh a scenes where Kai's face just appear like when he just said like I play the piano just for one audience and
Right,
that's you Kai,
right.
and that moment just struck me that Kai is like a god
Yeah,
of of this manga, of this anime.
yeah. I mean,
So
Shuhei has at least built Kai up to be a god in his own head, which is
yep.
not healthy, clearly, because
No.
he's like passing out in bathrooms.
Yep. And I think that the guy who played before him noticed that, and he know the pressure that Shuhei have. He know the like the depressions. Well, I think we can call that depression that he has.
Yeah,
So he tried to.
he might be depressed. Yeah,
Yep. So he tried to like consult Shuhei, but
yeah.
but that whole thing doesn't make any impact to me either.
Yeah, it was very muddled because Shuhei's reaction in the bathroom when the guy first approaches him, and I can't remember his name. He's the guy who his name starts with an A, and everybody thinks he's like famous and rich, but
Yep.
he goes into his backstory a little bit, saying that he's from a poor family.
Yep.
He's the zipper guy from last week, by the way, the one
Yep.
with the sister and the zipper and all that
Uh-huh. Yep.
bull crap. Um, when he first approaches Shuhei in the bathroom, the vibe I got from him was like he was threatening a little
Yep.
bit.
Yep.
Like, oh no, your hands are clean, man. You don't need to clean them anymore. Like maybe some kind of comment about how he had already wiped off the keys,
Yep.
so he wouldn't need to wash his hands because they're obviously clean already. And then he turns around and he's suddenly Mr. Friendly. And it was the same thing last week where he makes that inappropriate joke and then he's like, "Oh, I was just trying to loosen you up, man. It was just a goof."
Yep.
I don't I don't think I'm getting the message exactly right. I don't think the message is being delivered in the most clear fashion.
Or or maybe that's hint for something in the future. I'm not really sure, but yeah, I get the same vibe. I get the same feeling with you, man.
There's just a lot of uh lot of
It.
confusion, like unclear direction and unclear plotting
Yep.
and
You,
that's all I got.
you know what?
What?
You know what? Just leave that behind. Just let him. Just next get to the Kai and the guide and the new Poland guide.
Right. Yeah, I kind of wish he would be the new rival.
Yep.
Just let Shuhei go do his own thing for a little bit, and then come back and be his own man, his own person.
Mhm.
And yeah, let Lek take over for a little bit because he's I don't know, he's got some stuff going on. He's nervous. His dad is putting a lot of pressure on him. He appears to have like a bedridden sister or something. He asks her for like mental or spiritual strength as he's playing. He envisions a woman in a bed. Do you think it's his mom or his sister?
I think that's his mom for
Think so?
now.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's got some. He could become like a more appropriate rival, maybe depending on what they do with him, because he's got some stuff going on with his character.
Yep. I do like his characters, the situation that he found himself in. So he's like one of the famous, the like what they call the new generation, the wonder kid of Poland pianist.
Yeah.
But he find himself pressures to that. even like his grandfather is like some famous, some renowned pianist. So I think that is one of the reason why that he always gets sick when he start to perform. That
Right.
because that all the pressure that he feel, that he just afraid that he can't perform meet that expectations.
Hmm.
I think that's really relatable. So and I think that's the reason why he come to the forest and he just like be himself. So that's the whole thing going on with him. I really like that, and I saw the parallel comparison between him and Kai, because Kai on some ways is like him as well. He have the piano in the forest. He can become himself in that place, in that area. So yep. So I think that's what the two have in common.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that as well. And it's nice that they're not like childhood friends and rivals, because then the show doesn't have the option of falling back on that trope when it
Mm-hmm,
designs
mm-hmm,
scenes where
mm-hmm.
the two of them are together.
Right. So I like his character so far. I like I don't know how well he playing, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, well, he played really well. The judges
Mm.
said he's like the new pride of Poland. He's the superstar.
Well, the judges say, but I can say for myself. That's just the audience who say all that.
No, the judges said that.
All right, all right.
Because before the match, they were like, "Oh, we really need this guy to deliver for Poland because nobody else has been making much of an impact." And then the judges, after he's finished performing, are like, "Yes, he's a superstar. We did it."
All right. So yeah, so that basically the gist of of this episodes.
Yeah, I don't have that much else to say about him.
So so the next question actually is, do are we gonna watch the next one?
I'm gonna watch the
Uh,
next one. I don't really feel as though we need to talk about it or cover it, but maybe if it wows us, we'll throw a few words its way in the next episode.
all right. So that's maybe the last episode of Piano No More we cover here. So let's just wrap it up. Let's just see like how well we think about the show so far.
Sure. It was disappointing. Visuals
Yeah.
lacking.
Yep.
Story not properly paced and took a few detours that I really didn't need it to. Um,
Mm-hmm.
some good characters. So
Yep.
especially I think it handled its time skip very well. I think that might actually be the thing that I'm most impressed by, was the
That's
way that it
right.
handles the passage of time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but apart from that, I don't have a lot of nice things to say about it. How about you?
Well, I feel the same thing with you. So the production is very bare boned. It's actually very bad.
Yeah,
The CG whenever the player playing is annoying. It just lackluster. And what else? The story tell in a very traditional anime way, which isn't good, but is sometimes a bit too obvious. That they rely more on like the reactions of the audience and the church
yeah. I think they
than the
have to
piece itself.
because of they have to do
Yeah,
that
they have to.
because of the graphical limitations, or not graphical, the limits of the animation.
Yep. Hmm. And the characters sometimes they make a very good ones. Like Kai, I think Kai is a good central characters. I don't like Shuhei X for now. I like some side characters,
I know
but
you really like
beside,
Kai's mom.
yeah, I like Kai's mom. That's right. I like Wendy. Whatever her real name is, I like
Right.
her. And and yeah, I like this new guy, this new pop guy from Poland. So yeah, there's many characters that I like, but and the tournament itself, make me a bit excited to see how everything play out. But like otherwise, I just don't see that this is a show that I will come back to every week.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Although I am interested, I just want to see Kai play. I want to see. I'm not interested in how his character performs or how the story will change as a result. I just want to see how the show handles his performance in terms of time devoted to it, or in terms of animation, how
Yeah.
much they fall back on the CG model, or I want to see like what they'll do. As you noted, it is the first round, so they probably won't be pulling out all the stops, but
Yep.
I'm curious at the very least. So the show is not so bad that I just want to throw it in the trash and never think about it again. I will throw it in the
But you know,
trash after next week.
all right. But on second thought though, I think the next one that Kai play may be the very first moment that we see in on the series. Remember Kai play in some tournaments
Yeah, the flash
when
forward.
the flash forward. So I do think that's the moment.
Right. And we
The
already saw
next
that in that flash forward it was CG. So
Yep.
we might get
Yep.
well we it might be the exact opposite of what I want, and we get reused 3D footage.
All right. How exciting! How unpredictable!
Yeah. I'm ready to go on to Megalo Box. How about you?
All right. So just the last word. So at best, I might follow that until like the end of this Chopin tournaments. But at worst, maybe just the next episodes. So we see how it goes.
All right. Cool.
All right. Let's get to Megalo Box.
Let's do it.
How do you think about Megalo Box?
I'm gonna first thing I'm gonna do is predict that you were disappointed by it.
Oh, I
And
deeply
then I'm
disappointed by
gonna
it.
I'm gonna say that I actually appreciated the finale quite a bit.
Yeah.
I appreciate
All
it.
right.
Yes.
All right. Right. Tell me about that, because
All right.
I think the general audience reception is like the ending was really bad.
Yeah, but everybody who feels that way, I'm gonna just make a bold claim. They didn't understand the show.
All right. Tell
They
me.
didn't understand it. All right, so here we go. This show, despite being so closely focused on boxing, I won't say something outlandish like it's not a boxing anime. It is. It's a sports anime. It's a boxing anime. But it's pretty clear with all the stuff about Yukiko running the company, and all the gear technology being peddled to the military industrial guys, and all the stuff about Yuri being like a lone wolf and trying to find someone who's going to make him feel alive, and Nanbu's constant betrayals, all of that stuff regarding those characters and the other stories that Megalobox was attempting to tell. Putting on top of all that stuff the fact that the fights were not given the most detail and given the most, like, the closest attention, especially in the second half. With all those things in mind, I don't think it was as much of a boxing anime as people perceived it to be.
All
So
right.
when it ends with Joe and Yuri having found peace, neither of them die. They're both still alive. They find peace after the fight. That's what we were moving towards. Not for there to be a winner and a loser. So that's why I'm okay with the show cutting away, us not seeing like the finishing blow, seeing the two of them amongst their friends and people who care for them at the very end, and getting that nice little party scene during the credits with Nowhere Jim, or Jim Nowhere. I'm okay with all of that. I think it fits.
Huh.
So
All right.
your response, Mario?
All right. My response is, for what the show been building up for the last 12 episodes, for how dark and grim on the situation are, how they frame the story at like underdog story about people who put their life on the line to to be a real dude. It actually a cop out the ending, the two happy ending. It's like a total whiplash. What else? you know like on the finale where they have like on the dance motif,
Yes.
like they compare the boxing like a dance. I actually appreciate that, but I don't appreciate why they have on only that motif in the last episodes. What else? I actually think the show have a point when both Yuri and Joe don't died, because like boxing is not the only thing in the life. Like afterwards they can move on, and it's not the only thing of their life. I actually appreciate the message, but it just feel totally wrong, man. For me,
Well, if you can appreciate it, what feels wrong about it? Just the fact that you thought someone was going to die and it wasn't as dark as you wanted it to be, or
nah.
why is it wrong that they live?
All right, that because on the building up the show have that just because of like on they have been dancing around with death.
Yes.
They have been basically hint about like death for from the title to everything else.
Yes, from episode 1, death has been in the show's view.
Yeah, and turn out just I just think that well the show can go many ways, and that feel right. Either like going very like emotional scenes with uh Joe winning the whole thing, or going and uh it's just the bad way to just to the bottom line is the bad way to go anti climax, and the climax we're all waiting for.
I like the anticlimax because I was not
I
really feeling any of the fights. After maybe the first like 2 episodes, they just the step down in like fidelity to how a boxing match actually looks, and how the punches make fighters recoil, and the follow through at the weight. We've talked about it all before in past episodes, but I haven't been feeling it like in the least.
Yep.
So what I'm interested in is what the show has to say thematically, and all of the talk about death, the especially Yuri's everything that Yuri has had to say about competition, and about going through life looking for someone who can challenge you, and even my feeling last week about him looking not only for a worthy opponent, but for like someone who could potentially kill him, or looking for a place where he can lay down and die. I thought that maybe he would be the one to pass away, but he didn't, and that's the thing that I like, is that he's not in charge of that. Nobody is. We're not in charge of when we die. The only way you can be is to make a terrible, tragic choice, to take your own life. But that's something that like Joe and Yuri both, about the concept, like the psychological concept of a death drive. Like people going through life searching for dangerous situations where they seek out death in order to feel alive. I think both of these characters had that. But then both of them recognize. I mean, this just popped into my head. You say that it's not tonally consistent for the characters to be alive, but think about all the time that the show dedicated to Team Nowhere, to Nanbu, Sachio, and Joe as friends, as partners, and as people who care for one another. If you consider how much lip service the show paid to that concept, and then we see everyone alive at the end, and Yuri has actually been brought into that fold, I think it makes sense that they're both still alive, and that they've found peace.
All right. To counter your arguments, I actually feel that your argument is valid, but it's not for the last 6 episodes of the show. It's just like it's no way the show gonna be that, like if want to go that way, it have to be more considerate, more, like putting out on the team, like showing us how Yuri and Joe come into that point, come into the realization that, like they pass the point of putting their life on the life.
They do. They're not
moving
past
on.
the point. They're not past the point of putting their lives on the line. They do put their lives on the line, but it just so happens that they both live.
All right. So
Yuri even says to him when they're fighting, like right before they exchange. You know how they're in the boxing ring and then the scene kind of dissolves and it's just the two
yep
of them. The crowd is gone.
yep.
And shortly after that, Yuri says to Joe, "Are you going?" He asks him the question, "Are you going? Like, is this it? Are you finished? Are you leaving everything behind?"
Yep.
So
So
the answer
so
the
they've
answer
reached the
is
point, right?
the answer is yes. They do leave everything behind. In that they're both ready to try to defeat each other in the most ultimate sense. They're
Yep.
both ready to die, but it doesn't happen. And
Yep.
Joe, instead of going, as in dying,
Mm-hmm.
dying in the ring, dying outside of the ring, instead of that, what the true meaning of when Yuri asked him, "Are you ready to go?" It's have you finished? Did your journey as a boxer in this tournament and in this city, have you reached the end? Because Joe leaves at the end. He gets on his motorcycle, he drives off into the desert, and he does like a waltz while
Yep.
a scorpion watches him on a crab on a rock.
Yep.
So I don't think it's necessary for them to have died. Now Yuri all of a sudden being their like best buddy, I understand if that's a little strange.
Yep.
But there is a time skip because the episode begins with
All right.
the words present day in yellow over top of everything, implying that there's gonna be like a comparison between two times. So I was ready for a time skip, and when it happened, Yuri being their friend, I mean it makes sense to me. He's in a wheelchair, so he paid a price.
All right. That time skip, yeah, actually that concerned me. The I just don't feel it's necessary to get into the time skip 6 minutes until the show end. But well,
So
I just don't like the ending in general.
right.
Let's just say that.
Yeah, I'm sure that that's the majority opinion because it wasn't the typical, we see the final match all the way to completion and one guy wins and he experiences like the sweetness of victory.
Mm-hmm.
But I even that I think is appropriate because Joe was he wasn't doing this for money, glory, fame. He didn't even do it for the citizenship that was promised him when he sneaked his way into the tournament. He was doing it to feel alive.
Yep.
And he managed to get that feeling because Yuri was there to oppose him. And the same is true for Yuri. Yuri was willing to remove his gear and almost become a different person because Joe was there to oppose him and show him what it really means to put your life down and fight. Now, having said all this, do I think that the show did a tremendous job of building all the way up to this point? No, not really. I think that much of what came before is, even though it hints in this direction, it's still lacking because it does concern itself so much with, on the surface, being a sports anime.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's actually a problem.
All right. Tell me more about that.
I mean, the all the stuff about Nanbu and Sachio and Joe, like them being friends, all that, forging a bond and getting over a lack of trust and like betrayal and
Yep.
disappointment. All of that stuff, while it was worked into the show, it wasn't as prominent as it could have been.
Mm-hmm.
We got plenty of it, but it didn't really ring out like it needed to because there was so much obsession about gear. You remember we had that little shift in the middle of the story, and all of a sudden it was telling us about Yukiko and whatever her brother's name is, and the company. Like the show just it concerned itself with a bunch of smaller things, and I think that obscured the fact that this was not just a boxing anime and not just a sports anime. So then we come to the end where the show pulls that curtain away and everybody's like, what the hell?
Yep. Well, yeah, I just have nothing else more to say. I just
Oh damn! You usually have tons to say about this series.
you know what? I think I come to a point that I think it's my fault to just claim that the show is predictable. The show was predictable few weeks ago because like the ending were as far as predictable as it might get.
Right. So let me ask you this: how did you want the show to end? Like, give me your version of the 6 minutes that should have been at the end, in
All
just
right,
in broad terms.
all right. In broad term, I think the show could go two ways, and it's not it's necessary that my way of ending, but I think it should go either two ways. First, like the very climax, the thing that make this show feel so good, the all the way through. It's like it just go all the way until like one of them died. I and the second is like when Joe died, when everything was like go all the way to the ICI Joe no Joe ending. I would have preferred those two ending more than this.
Okay, you keep talking about characters dying. I mean, I get that that's part of
All
what
right.
people wanted from the end, but like, give
All
give
right.
me your version
All right,
of
all
the
right.
6 minutes. So
All
what
right,
happens?
the 6 minute. All right, I'm I'm actually all right with them not dying. I just don't like how everything feels so like so happy so fluffy at that last 6 minutes. So my version of the end will be it will keep getting darker and creamier. The character don't need to die, but it actually have to have a cost.
Sure.
A
Okay.
life
Then what's the
cost.
last scene? How does it end? What's the
All
note
right.
on which we're left?
All right. I think it need to be end on the rink. That's what I
And
think.
in the ring. Okay. So you
Yep.
wanted the entire last episode to be, or most of it to be in the ring.
Yeah, because I think like all the show building itself up for that single one moment, the final match on the ring.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I
I think
I definitely disagree.
all right. Yeah.
It's I mean the tournament was building to this fight, and Joe's character and Yuri's character being opposed to one another, and I mean they're on opposite sides of the ring and they're exchanging blows, but the reason they have to fight, part of the reason is because they're so similar. Like, they want the exact same thing, and they have to, in order to get that feeling, in order to get the feeling of like really really being alive and feeling as though I don't know, like a lot of anime use the term or the phrase "confirm your existence." You ever heard that from
Yep.
an anime?
All right.
That both characters are kind of looking to do that. They've been wandering for so long. Like Yuri has been in the employ of this woman for such a long time, being her dog essentially, and Joe similarly has been in the underground, not able to break out and show the world what he can do. So they're both on this same journey to find real purpose. That's the reason that's the reason they have to fight each other, because they both want the same thing. But they don't actually, what they have to do is find that purpose. They don't have to kill each other in the process, and the show doesn't have to get grim in the process. It doesn't have to get dark in the process. It got dark because people were hitting each other. I mean, that's what boxing is. There's blood, spit flying all over the place, people's teeth coming out. I don't know. But I don't think that for those two characters to complete their journeys that somebody's got to get killed, or that the show has to get like blacker and blacker.
All right. All right. That's what we're gonna be disagree with.
All right, that's cool.
Hopefully, some of the listener, when you listen to this, you can tell your own version of how you think the last six episode, the last 6 minutes gonna end.
Yeah, if somebody is listening to this, comment and tell us who's right. Is
Yeah,
Mario right? Am I right?
We interesting to see how you think yourself.
Yeah, let us know.
Yep. All right.
Usually, you and I, we even if we don't agree at first about an episode, we come to some sort of understanding or agreement about it.
That's right.
But with finales, I feel like because there's no more to look forward to, and it does wrap up the show completely. That's probably
Yep.
where like agreements tend to break down, even if two people have generally similar opinions about anime.
Yeah. Well, I think usually the we usually disagree on the first and the last episodes,
Is that,
like how
yeah,
the show start and how the show ends.
that's kind of true because like I hated Steins Gate and Golden Kamuy, and you were like really hot on those at the start of the season.
That's right.
Um, yeah, and then finales too. Yeah, yeah, maybe that's an interesting point.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll
All
have
right.
another chance to figure out whether that's the case once summer starts.
That's right. Talking about Golden Kamuy, and I just give a brief like final impressions about on the other shows that I watched this seasons.
Go for it.
So Golden Kamuy, they haven't finished yet. They just kind of end. They just kind of stop. So the last episode we still got like new characters. The all the main characters just go nowhere, looking for plot, basically.
Okay.
Um,
I mean, there's going to be a season two,
so
right?
far, they're gonna be two out of this four. So like in 3 more months, and still I don't think the show can wrap up then, because I think there's still a lot of other plots going on,
Yeah,
the whole
there's
big plot going on.
there's like 130 or 140 manga chapters out right now. So I
That's
doubt that it'll wrap up even after two core.
Yeah, that's right. And just the brief impressions on how the show going so far. It getting goofier at the show goes. So it focus on some small villains instead of the big ones, and each of the killers has some very like distinctive trait, but it's getting a bit goofier. It's getting a bit like more like comedy horror for me,
Okay.
with
So is
not
that a good thing or a
necessarily
bad thing?
which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I think it just veers away from the main plot, which is not a good thing.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, so that's for Golden Kamuy. Next is Watercoid. So you might remember our impression on the on Watercoid, that I didn't really too hot on that,
Me neither.
because it focused more on the romantic side of those otakus. But like since the episode 2 onwards, it's more of like the slice of life of the otaku who work in the office, and I enjoy them very much more.
Okay.
So yes, it's a warm show. It's like um it's not something that you're gonna remember them though. Like I think like after a few days you don't remember much about them, but
Right.
it's a show that like you can always enjoy them in a regular basis. I actually kind of miss them in the end,
Oh,
now that they're gone.
you can
and
read the manga, right?
Yeah, and the romance actually didn't go nowhere.
That's good.
which is like after the first episodes we kind of expect some progression. They have some progression, but it's not. It's just very slow. It's just very like just a bit that we got. All right.
Okay.
And the last show that I want to talk to, two more shows. One more show is Tadaku Never Fall in Love. Actually, in the end, it goes in a very Hollywood endings, which I will spoil you right now.
She was a princess, right?
She a princess, so she left them back to her country, and Tada had to go there.
Are you serious?
It, yeah,
Is this real?
In order to meet her, and then he find and all right, it doesn't stop there, and then he find out that see a princess and she engaged to Chow to another guy.
Another prince
And
of another country or something?
no, just another. I think that's a prince, but it's not the same plot line.
Okay.
So like she engaged to that guy already, and he heartbroken. But then he want to meet her again to talk about how just his true feeling, and then you know what the next time you know it the engagement was off, and she actually ceased to be a princess just to go Japan to see him.
So she gave
So
up her position to be with Tada-kun or whatever his name was.
well yeah so that's what the show suggests. That's a very Hollywood ending, you know,
Yes,
like
yes, it is.
on second thought, just let not be a princess anymore.
You know what?
That's a message.
That's not just a Hollywood ending. That is like a $5 Walmart bargain bin DVD ending.
So yes, it go very. It's like you said. Thank you, Whipper.
Oh, you're welcome, man. I got tons more zingers if you need them. Wow. So I mean, but how? So
Right.
that's obviously like ludicrous. But how was the show? Did it pull it off at all?
For like, well,
Did it make it work or no?
production wise, all right. It does work in some ways, and until like the last episode, I feel like I can get behind on those things. The Hollywood ending doesn't work for me, but as far as Hollywood ending goes, I think it does a decent job. So yes, it
All
worked
right.
in a way.
I mean, anime is it's kind of about that. There's room
Yeah.
for like over dramatization because you're not looking at real people, you're looking at cartoon characters.
Yeah.
So the you if they do it right, you can pull off that sort of insane story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
All right.
at
And
least
the
it was
last.
watchable.
Yep. That's right. It's watchable. And the last show that I want to mention is the Legion of Galactic Heroes,
Yes, the remake.
which yeah, the remake, which just it actually also just stopped in the middle of the stories, and they talk that three more movies gonna come out,
Hmm.
but as far as like the last 12 episode that I watched, it pretty good. It's a bit too on the nose on some of the characters.
Yes.
Like the show wanted to feel certain attitude about certain characters, but other than that, they building like this grand story pretty throughout it. So I enjoy them so far, but then again, we just see like the small portion of a very big story here. So I'm not in the position to say about the quality of the whole story as a whole.
Right. I've
All right.
I've seen most of the OVA, and I can tell you that it gets better. Especially the feeling of the show being too on the nose, like wanting you to feel that Job Truenet is like terrible, and wanting you to feel that all the members of the Golden Bomb Dynasty, the Empire, that they're all there's a whole bunch of human rights violations going on, and they're just awful, and they're clinging to their ways even though times are changing, all that stuff. That some of that stays, but as the show gets bigger and expands its like zooms back a little bit, expands its scope, and introduces more and more regular characters,
Yep.
it continues to spread attention to all of them, and the feeling of some of them being like underwritten or too villainous is erased.
All right. So they're just gonna push it up. Hey.
Yeah, it just keeps feeling more and more like actual history is playing out in front of you. And there are a couple of arcs as you get deeper and deeper into the show that have some really dumb and simplistic villains, but there much better ones are also introduced.
Wow. Right.
Yeah, it's great. It's worth if anyone listening to this hasn't seen any Legend of the Galactic Heroes, definitely start with the new one because from what I hear, it looks pretty darn nice.
Hmm.
And then if you get to the end of the 12 episodes and like the movies aren't out, just do a little research on Wikipedia, and if you can manage it, pick it up from where the old 90s OVA
Because I
starts
think
up.
that's what I wanna do as well.
Yeah, it's apparently the episodes have been like one to one, so it's something you'd be
Yep.
able to do if you just did a little reading of episode summaries and stuff. I think it's
Hmm.
worth it. It's super long, 110 episodes, but it's if you're into historical fiction and all that, it's cool.